Oh look, here I am again. And it's still cold in the garage because it's not springtime yet. We were almost tricked over this weekend because we had a 60-degree day. And now it is much less, and it snowed today. So, as you can see, this place, there's literally a chainsaw under the car. Why there's a chainsaw under the car? Well, it's a long story. Anyways, what I have to do today is I gotta clean up this disaster. I basically just can't function anymore with all of my stuff everywhere, soldering iron in the spring. Alright, maybe that's not so bad, but... so I'm gonna clean up this disaster before I go any further. And then, for tonight's beverage of choice, we're gonna celebrate my Irish heritage with a Guinness Draft Stout. Alright, let's be honest, I'm not actually Irish. I don't actually know what I am. I have no idea what my family tree is like. It's a long story. I won't bother you with it. I'm gonna pour this like an animal. Oh boy, this is embarrassing. That's what you gotta do with one hand though. Okay, so anyways, this is what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna clean up this mess. And then I'm gonna bring a battery over and I'm gonna set it right here because my battery cables are not long enough to do anything with. So I'm gonna set up some sort of sketchy connection. Oh look, there's a battery cable down there that I didn't even know about. So anyways, I'm gonna set up a sketchy connection to go from the starter, right in this region, all the way under the manifold along the frame to the battery. Then I'm gonna hook up the battery to a ground that goes from the battery over to the engine block. And then I'm going to hook up some power to my fuse box that I'm unhappy with. And then I'm going to hook up the ignition wire from the car to the fuse box. And I'm going to see what turns on. Because I think that my relays will click on and then it will send power to the computer. And then maybe I can get power to my fuel pump wire, which I haven't actually run yet. So that's where I stand. But step one is cleaning up this disaster that I've been living in for the past, month. So clean that up. We'll see you in a minute. So I was just going to turn on this stereo and no power. And I realized I unplugged it. So I went over here and it's not plugged in. And then I looked down. What the heck is this? This is way bigger than it probably looks on video. Yikes. This thing has like antlers on it. What in the world kind of spider is that? Zoom in. Oh my god. I almost just fell into him. Yeah. That's not good. He's got like pinchers or something. Is this even a... This could be like a lobster or something. Alright. I'm going to evict him and get on with cleaning the garage. Alright. Take care. Spider has been evicted, and now I'm on to the next thing. A couple cool things. I actually just found a dipstick. I didn't even know I had a dipstick for this engine. Turns out I do, so that's good. So I gotta figure out a way to mount that. I'm hoping that I can just kind of slide it in place and it'll just kind of work. The one on my Impala, I had to custom bend in a variety of ways because it wasn't right for the manifolds and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, so I guess put this on soon. And then this is the wiring that I have for battery cables. I have one that I think might have come out of possibly a 3rd gen Camaro. Maybe? I honestly don't know. And then I have a couple other cables that are just kind of hanging around. I think they might have come off this car. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm going to try and Mickey Mouse something to get this battery hooked up to the starter and then hooked up to whatever power wire feeds the fuse box of the car. And then I can get power out of the ignition switch and hopefully get it over to my fuse box. So that's where I'm off to next. I'm gonna run a wire over to the starter and plug it in. All right, here we go. I was just down under the car and I found this absolute cluster of wires. This is the original starter wire harness that comes out of the firewall. So I followed it up. We got a couple of broken off wires that I don't know what they do. This, I believe, is the actual starter signal wire that comes off the ignition. And then we got this sort of cluster of disaster. It looks like a factory splice, but it's got these two giant wires coming off of it with all kinds of shenanigan tape on here, maybe a fuse, some other funky stuff. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off. Well, some of it at least. I'm going to cut off this big black wire because I don't have a clue of what it does and I don't really care for it. And I'm just going to use this wire to feed power to this harness. My guess is that this one went to the starter, and then this other guy right here, I don't know, I suppose it could have gone to like an alternator probably. That would be my best guess. But for me, I'm going to cut it off and worry about the alternator later because I have to run the wires to the alternator anyways. So I'm just going to deal with that later. So, all right, I'm going to cut this off and I'm going to run it down under the car and see where that goes. All right. In the interest of doing sketchy things, I've hooked up this battery. Yeah, there's two ground cables. One goes to the frame, the other goes to the tensioner. By the way, I am fully capable of actually not doing really sketchy stuff. It's just sometimes you just got to do it to see what happens. In this case, I just hooked up the battery and I plugged in the power wires to the starter. And here's the moment. Ready? Da, 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 da. I'm probably like spewing oil everywhere or something like that. Probably worth checking. Let's take a look. Huh. No oil. That's good. So that's the excitement for today. I think actually I'm going to call it quits for right now. I feel like I've made a little too much progress and I need to stop while I'm ahead. So I'm going to remove this battery to lower the chances of a fire hazard. And I think I'm going to continue it later. So I bid you adieu and I will see you next time. Have a good one.